If you live in the American Midwest, you'll know that travel time can make or break your plans, and it freaking sucks. Without public transportation, we're forced to drive everywhere, and it always seems to take 20 plus minutes to reach your destination. It can feel overwhelming, and some of these days are spent completely in your car. Your D&D traveling doesn't need to be this painful. In fact, if you engage with it correctly, it can actually be some of the most awe-inspiring and lead to the most extremely memorable moments of your campaigns. I'm Wes from Rolling Deep, and these are some tips to make your D&D travel suck less. But why does my traveling always feel so sluggish and leads to bored players? Well, let's be honest, for the most part, walking isn't very exciting. But as the DM, there are a few easy ways you can put a little frickin' pizzazz in their jazz. Look, I wanted to say pep in their step because I'm a hack, so you get pizzazz in their jazz, you just gotta deal with it. We've all probably heard the classic pace-keeping DM strategy of, it takes you 2 weeks of game time and 10 rations as you arrive, But this is a huge missed opportunity. The world around your players is an ancient beast waiting to be tamed. There are circumstances where what I said previously would be preferred, but I want to help offer structure for unique travel that might make your couple-day walk between towns a little bit more exciting. Let me show you this branching bubble method. I'm sure that this method has a proper technical name, but I want to present you with what I'm dubbing as the branching bubble method of travel encounter. Let's take a moment and start from scratch. First, it's good to take an assessment of your party's needs. This is if they have any impending health crises or anything that is completely halting your party's forward progress. They will probably be the main concern of your party and are important to keep in mind when structuring the path of travel. Let's keep track of these in their own separate bubbles. Then, let's apply the same level of thinking to the party's wants and desires. I urge you to take a second and actually think about the reasons your players come back each week. Brent likes combat? Great. Shelly wants to do some criminal investigation? We can work with that. And as we use this tool, we can more easily connect the bubbles of these needs and wants with the intention of having the encounters that are actually fleshed out. We aren't done with bubbles. No. Because the next thing I want to address are the calls to action that you as the DM are throwing at your party. If you don't know what that is, it's an act that asks or encourages people to act on a problem. Your game world will be full of call to actions, possibly by an NPC quest giver or by information communicated with the players through the game world. This is where your traditional quests will fall into our branching bubble diagram here. Again, if we branch and drop bubbles off of our call to action bubble, it lends itself to be a good organization tool. Knowing our players, some quests will naturally interest them more than others, and you may notice once pressing calls to actions now may sit at the sidelines. Writing them out with this branching bubble method allows you as a DM to connect lesser focused call to actions to the ones the party is actively pursuing with just a few simple steps or details. This could be an item, NPC, or general role event that links them together. Connecting these bubbles may seem like a creative writing challenge, by the way, but it doesn't have to be. If you're running on no creative juice or need to quickly pull something together after work, there are tons of resources that have unique situations you can pull from and modify. If you use a trusty resource like from dmsguild.com, they'll even have pre-made encounters relevant to whatever setting you're traveling through, be it desert, urban, or forest. In this drafting phase, I would recommend writing down anything that comes to mind because visually seeing the options laid out for me can lead to amazing combinations of NPC relationships, player consequences, and world history. Okay, Wes, I have a bunch of weird ass looking bubbles and random notes scribbled all over my paper. Now what? Well, the key to running a smooth campaign is quick improv and a little bit of luck, but mostly good organization. So read over your chicken scratch and highlight the bubbles that you believe will work best for your upcoming travel segment. Not everything is going to be a golden egg. A little paragraph explaining your thought process to yourself for later reference is an even better practice to get into for implementation into your story later. Let's get down to basics though. They, the party, are going from point A to a desired point B. If you've done the writing work before this step, all you have to do is attach the bubbles you highlighted from before and bada bing, bada boom. You have a travel section for your campaign that's actually relevant, varied, and fulfilling. I tend to use numbers and refer back to my more detailed notes this way. And I hate to burst your bubble here, but we actually aren't done. If you followed along, you may have come up with some awesome or wacky scenarios that don't really fit into players' wants and needs or call to actions. These are the excess flavor bubbles of ideas that you had that still have some merit. If you really want the party to talk to an enchilada dealer in the middle of Atlantis, do it. It's fun. And fun is really the reason most people play these games. Again, take some time to flesh out your flavor bubbles with possible rewards and consequences if you're so tempted to engage with your idea during play. After some revision work, you can attach your flavor bubbles to our point A and B reference line. If you have many flavor bubbles and can't decide which to implement, have your players roll a die and essentially pick their own flavor. Having even the slightest bit of power over the story is rewarding to the player. At this point, mine would look like this: a line with numbers coming off of it. Kind of boring, I know, but what this represents is a completely organized, modular, ready-to-fire travel session for your players. It even makes keeping track of rations and rest simpler if that's your jam. The best part? None of this is static. Feel free to move around the bubbles that your order in which they will encounter, Depending on how the party handles the first few bubbles, you may feel it necessary to do a bit of swapping. Either way, this is one of the best ways I have found to make travel varied and worth it for my players. If you've stuck around this long, I hope you're happy I've added bubbles to your toolbox, and I sincerely hope your travel sessions feel better prepped for and better to play. Thanks for rolling deep into D&D with me. Have a good session, and check us out on Instagram or Twitter, and tune in to catch us live on Reddit, Twitch, or here on YouTube. See you next time.